what is your beef with this? That we should omit the fact that Trump did a thing factually?
No, my beef with this is that we're making assumptions about a report because you want it to be a story today.
If they had made up that fact, I could understand.
But tainting it with politics, to me, ruins the overall case.
Let me ask you a
that's
question.
I'm assuming that, just like we're assuming this.
No, but I mean, to me, it tells me that this guy is so unstable that
it happens to mention
relevant?
Donald Trump. Yeah, because the address that he used in order to go and stalk the Obamas was posted by Trump.
He was live.
It is relevant.
But is it a fire? Like, just call it what it is. Like,
well, it's kind of like common sense for me to think they included Trump in their filing because they were trying to make a political point.
Why would they be trying to make a political point when Trump was the person who put the address on the platform?
What does
and then
Taranto
Hold on.
Trump has attacked me by tweet. And when Trump...
Me too.
Well, join the club. When Trump posts about...
Hello, everybody. Guys, we got Baya the Brainless giggling about, honestly, I have no clue. I don't think she knows. And I got to think of a name for Blondie, the Sad and the Restless. Let's get into this segment and we'll talk about it.
Tonight, the Justice Department is suspending 2 prosecutors for accurately describing January 6th as a, quote, mob of rioters.
Guys, look, the party of law enforcement at work. Incredible. Good job.
Carlos Valdivia and Samuel White were suspended just hours after submitting the sentencing request for a man who was pardoned by Donald Trump back in January. Taylor Taranto is facing gun charges after he was detained near Barack Obama's home 2 years ago. He said on a live stream that he had a detonator and was searching for underground tunnels that led inside the Obama family home. 2 guns, hundreds of rounds of ammunition, and materials to make explosives were also found inside of his van. The original prosecutors in that case sought a sentence of 27 months, but their memo submitted yesterday was missing from the court docket as of this afternoon. Now, tonight, you can see that the names of the prosecutors who posted this revised sentencing memo are different. And noticeably missing from the new memo is that first paragraph, that one on the left, referencing Taranto's involvement in the Capitol attack. In fact, all references of January 6th are missing now from this document. This is actually, honestly, hard to believe. Why?
Did they say why they were fired? I don't think they said we fired him because we fired them because of the January 6th stuff. I think
that's what the reporting says.
And also, but I think the reporter wrote a book on January 6th. They're probably trying to keep it going.
No, I mean, every news outlet at this point has confirmed it.
Yeah.
But they took them off the case. They put on new prosecutors. They resubmitted the memo, and they took out the paragraph about January 6th.
So I think there was a part in there where they were explicit, referring to President Trump, almost blaming him for the violence of January 6th in their original filing. I believe that was partly in there. And so if they are going to, these are individuals who, there's plenty of reasons to put this guy away. 27 counts. They made it political for a reason, to make a statement. No one can disagree that it was a mob riot of a day. Everyone here agrees with that. It was a terrible, dark day.
So the part let me just read what part you're referring to. Here's what it says. The next day, on June 29th, 2023, then former President Donald Trump published on a social media platform the purported address of former President Barack Obama. Taranto reposted the address on the same platform and thereafter started live streaming from his van on his YouTube channel. Taranto broadcast footage of himself as he drove through the Calorama neighborhood in Washington, et cetera, et cetera. The new text says, the next day, on June 29th, 2023, Taranto broadcast footage of himself as he drove through the Calorama neighborhood in Washington, D.C. So the earlier text is just a recitation of facts. It happens to mention Donald Trump. Yeah, because the address that he used in order to go and stalk the Obamas was posted by Trump.
He was live.
It is relevant.
But is it a fireable offense? Okay, let's say you put a paragraph in. Maybe it's bad warning,
but like we're making big assumptions here on why they were fired.
Well,
I
don't think they're big assumptions.
I think it's more like common sense.
Yeah, it's like just call it what it is.
Well, it's kind of like common sense for me to think they included Trump in their filing because they were trying to make a political point.
Why would they be trying to make a political point when Trump was the person who put the address on the platform?
What does
and
that
then
have to do?
Taranto
Taranto
reposted the address on the same platform, and then after that, he started a live stream from his van broadcasting footage of him
Was the
circling the
reposting what
house.
he's being charged with? Because he reposted
No.
it. So what
The
relevance
question-
does it have? Would we say
because
he Googled it? Would
It's
we
a
have
fact
included
pattern.
that?
When you
Okay, so if it was a fact pattern.
Actually, if he had Googled it, it would have
But did
probably
they
been
ask?
relevant.
Did they check? We don't know. We're making
But we know that
assumptions.
he
But Kristen, I'm
reposted.
confused. What is your beef with this? That we should omit the fact that Trump did a thing factually?
No, my
I mean, if
beef
he
with
had-
this is that
if they had
we're
made-
making assumptions about a
but if
report
they
because
had
you want it to
made
be a
up that
story today.
fact, if they had made up that fact, I could understand being upset about it. But
Like, what does this idiot, the sad and the restless, want to call it? A peaceful protest? I'm dying to hear that chant again. A peaceful protest. Mommy, out of anyone to give the benefit of the doubt to, you really think we should give it to one Donald Trump, the insider of January 6th? I mean, I think everyone would agree, dear Lord, now I'm speaking like these people on these panels, but I think everyone would agree that that day would not have happened if it wasn't for Trump, obviously. Even Scott Jennings, Trump's most loyal baby mama, said he incited the insurrection. Now that same person has fired people who spoke truthfully about what happened that day, just because they called it a mob of rioters, or how they described it. And you want us to believe it's possible it's for a completely different reason, for one of which you have no clue as to why they would have been fired. But no, he isn't firing him because of January 6th. Just amazing logic. Only a Republican's brain works in this manner. Ignore the most obvious answer and, oh, look, it's a bird. Incredible.
it's just a thing that actually happened in the
And
world.
let me tell you something, as somebody who has been the recipient of Trump attack tweets. Trump has attacked me by tweet. And when Trump...
Me too.
When Trump, well, join the club. When Trump posts about you, it's like the gates of hell open up and every little demon goes through them and comes out against you and comes out and attacks you. And so I do think this is relevant. Look, the bigger point here is that Trump and his administration, all his followers and minions, or many of his followers and minions, want to erase January 6th, want to convince us that what we saw with our own eyes is not what we saw with our own eyes. They want to convince us that it wasn't a violent riot. They want to convince us that it was sightseeing at the Capitol and all sorts of descriptions that some Republicans have used to describe that day. They don't want to admit that it was what Mike Pence knows it was.
And for the purposes of sentencing, Batia, I mean, it seems logical that if you're a prosecutor and you're trying to argue to a judge that this guy is somebody who shouldn't be out on the street, he's dangerous, wouldn't it be relevant to include the other instance in which he was engaged in violent acts? But I ask that, but also at the same time, the fact that Trump...
Baya is thinking about unicorns and fairies. Nothing's going on in there.
Pardoned him does make it so that it is harder to include that information. And is that right in your mind?
I read 4 articles. They all said, the 4 that I read from mainstream media said, we don't know why they were fired. But if they were fired for omitting that paragraph, that is bad. That's not good. So I'm not 100% sure that's true, but I understand why it seems like that's probably true. And if that is true, that's bad. Yeah, I think they shouldn't have been fired.
Yeah, I mean, look, the pardons are sort of the original sin here in a lot of these cases. It's not the first time that we've seen these former January 6th, now pardoned individuals going out there and committing acts of violence. And that is something that we have to now live with as a country because these were blanket pardons. They were just given a clean slate.
Abby, not accepting the election results and the loss was the original sin. Then as a result of that, instigating January 6th was a further sin. January 6th itself was a furtherance of the sin. The pardon was the cherry on top.
Yeah.
Well, I think there are a lot of Republicans who don't agree with the pardons. I think, but it wasn't a surprise. I mean, Trump literally campaigned on it. Everyone knew it was coming. No one should be surprised. There are a lot of people who don't agree that those people should be pardoned. I don't think they should have been pardoned. A lot of people don't. But my issue here is that this person should be in jail for a number of reasons, for hurting police officers, for, threatening. There's so many reasons why this person needs to be put away. My problem here is that including a political point of view, I don't know if they should have been fired or not. I don't know why they were fired, as we just said, but tainting it with politics, to me,
it wasn't a
ruins
point
the
of view.
overall
Let me ask you a
That's what
question.
I'm
But
assuming
hold on,
that, just like we're assuming
Can
that's
I ask
what
you a
I mean, to me, it tells me
Do
that
you
this guy
think-
is so unstable that at seeing a post by Trump, he gets triggered to the point
But
where
what
he's
he's being
being
charged
charged.
that's not all. Look,
And she said many Republicans were against this. Actually, let's speak about who was for it. Marjorie Taylor Greene, because I've been seeing media trying to whitewash her history. Like she's this decent person. Like that she's this rational person now in the Republican Party. That was a lady that was screaming to pardon the rioters of January 6th, calling them patriots, and they don't deserve this treatment, blah, 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 blah. So just everyone remember that about Marjorie Taylor Greene. This topic really bothers Republicans, that January 6th keeps being brought up, but they just can't have it both ways. The party of law enforcement, the party of whatever. But you know what would make people stop talking about it that much? Not pardoning the rioters, including the proud little boys. Maybe you shouldn't speak about 2028 and how you want to stay and put a hat on your desk, trolling Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer. Right? Maybe you shouldn't make a $300 million ballroom. That makes it really hard to believe that you would just leave and leave that to the next president. Guys, very quick thought experiment. Very easy one. Republicans lose in 2028, the presidency. Does Islander Vance certify that election result if Democrats win? I would go with, F no. This is why it's important to keep it in front of mind, because these fools will almost guarantee will try to steal the election again. And I think that's why they hate we're talking about it. But when Trump does stupid things like this, firing people who called it a mob of rioters, of course you're going to draw attention to it. Again, this is what I mean about Republicans. They're just incompetent people. They're very incapable. They're just dumbasses.
this part about January 6th being a mob that was engaged in violence is also
Which it was.
omitted. Okay, but that was also omitted from the documents, from the memo. Should that have been omitted? Should that be relevant information for the judge to see?
Well, I think if it is tied to directly his violent acts, then yes, of course. That's not, that. I don't think that's what we're fighting about here. What we're arguing
No,
about
I mean, first of all, we're not fighting. But second of all, what I'm asking you is if you take the firings out of it for a second. They resubmitted this memo and they took out the parts of that document that would have offended President Trump because he doesn't like it called a mob. He doesn't think January 6th was wrong. That's why he pardoned all these individuals. Is it okay in your mind for that reason, because Trump doesn't like it, it comes out of the document and then it's not part of the record as they're trying to put this very dangerous person behind bars?
If that's the reason they give for omitting it, then
What
of
other
course
reason?
that's
What other reason is there?
So here's the thing: you're making these assumptions, just like how I'm assuming that those.
I know, but what other? I mean,
Why else would you
what
take it
plausible
out?
other
I would,
reason is there?
have you asked, has a news organization asked why they've been
The
omitted?
justice, they did not comment on that part of it. They said, we don't comment on personnel decisions. We want to make it clear we take violence and threats of violence very seriously. They did not address the fact that the memo was edited to remove references to January
I think
6th.
most Americans agree that January 6th was a terrible, dark day. I think most Americans would agree that this man is dangerous and needs to be in jail. I think most Americans
Trump,
are also
yeah.
tired with tables like this being obsessed with going back and forth about what someone says about January 6th. And it
Look,
has nothing, as long as nothing goes to debate.
I agree. It was a riot. It was an insurrection. They tried to overthrow the government. I think we all just said we all agree on that. That's not a back and forth. This is the second time, literally in 10 days, I've been at this table and we're talking about a January 6th person being pardoned who is saying violent things, whether against Hakeem Jeffries or against against Barack Obama. There is a pattern here, and so it's not a back and forth. It's
I just wish
like
we'd
the
also
fact of the
include,
matter.
we would include instances where violent offenders have cashless bail, get released early, and go and commit more crimes. Illegal immigrants
We
who
talk
get let
about
go.
them too. Trust me.
I
Y'all
would love
talk
to do
about
the
them.
tally
Look,
on
here's
it.
the
I would.
difference.
about them
Here's the
Yeah, we should
Here's the
count it up.
difference. The president pardoned these people, A. And B, every time that things like this happen, it puts it right back on the agenda because the attempt at erasure is relevant. You know, we ought to be able to say that this was a riot, that it actually happened, and not have the government trying to pretend like it didn't.
Well,
that is
I think that's
problematic,
very
and that's
broad-
not. It's
that's a
not
very
our.
broad
It's not our
assumption
fault
to
that
say
the
that the
government is trying to erase
government-
the record of what happened on January 6th.
I think you can
that's
count people in the
and
cabinet
I'm not
who have said
responsible
it
for
was a
that.
terrible
And
day.
it's not the first time that we see DOJ and the government taking retribution against people who don't exactly stick to the hymn that they want them to sing, right? We saw it with James Comey's daughter. What's her name? Maureen?
Yeah,
When
Maureen
she was fired, you know, there
there were a
have
number of
been
reasons why she
punitive
was fired,
firings
yeah.
because of politics.
All right, next for us, Jade.
And like, this is not in a vacuum. This is in the same week where Bannon said they're going to stay in 2028. Trump is going to stay there, and they have plans to be there. Like, these people are dead serious. And then you know what they're going to say in 2028? Well, Trump did say he was going to do it. He did say he was going to do it. Like, this is unbelievable. The Sad and the Restless says, yeah, this is bad. But how about those brown people coming in over the borders? Just amazing. Amazing where these people's brain goes to. Again, no one would be talking about any of this pendeja if Trump didn't fire those prosecutors. I hate when they act so confused as to why we're talking about a particular subject. It's just like the Nazi stuff, crying about, stop calling us Nazi, then stop doing Nazi salutes and stop saying things like, I don't know, I love Hitler. It's really not that hard. Stop acting fake confused all the damn time. Like, is the Sad and Restless really questioning all of this? Does she truly not think Trump would do something like this? The man still thinks the election was stolen from him. He still won't admit it, that it was stolen. Republicans, if you ask Republicans right now, they use these little word games not to answer the question directly. Did Trump lose the election fairly? They won't answer it. So yeah, this is important. Because Trump is such an honorable man, right? We should trust him. We should believe that he wasn't removing these people because of this. Like, Diablo, Trump fired a labor statistician because he didn't like the job numbers. Like, who the hell are we kidding here, mama? But I'm going to leave it there, guys. Let me know what you think about all this in the comments. Please leave a like, subscribe. Really helps the channel. Really helps spread the message out there. And I'll catch you in the next one.